Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1 o'clock. It's time for our work session today. We appreciate everyone being here. This is a time when we actually meet with constituents, citizens of Cleveland, discuss some issues that we have. We have an opportunity for anyone that would like to make any comments before the group and the council. So we'll be following our agenda that you may or may not have a copy of. There are some out front if you want one. First on the agenda today are any special presentations from the audience. And I know we have a group here from the Daughters of the American Revolution that wanted to make a presentation. And Leanne, I believe you're going to do that. So if you could come forward at this time.
Let me kick it off. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. We've been having a dialogue for a few months on a great project that they're going to present in a moment. It's how to honor past heroes of the American Revolution. And I just want to let you know that we've had good communication, and I asked them it's probably good for them to come and make their pitch and do that. And so this is really a team effort, and I'll hand it over to Leanne, and you can go from there.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Leanne Boyd. I'm the second vice regent of the Ocoee chapter here in Cleveland. And I have with me Greg Banther, and he is the America 250 chair for the Colonel Benjamin Cleveland Sons of the American Revolution. So I'm going to defer to the chair of our America 250 committee.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you a few minutes. As I'm sure everyone knows, next year is the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. And the SAR, along with the DAR, had an opportunity to apply for a grant from the Tennessee 250 Committee, and we were lucky enough to be awarded a grant. And our project is a monument that recognizes the 15 or so, we know 15 for sure, men who fought in the Revolutionary War, who located to Bradley County, resided in Bradley County, and most of them died in Bradley County. And we, in the spreadsheet, in the PowerPoint, we have the names of those men. And we looked around, and we know that the courthouse is just full of monuments. And we didn't really see a good place there. And so we were at First Street Square, and of course the Colonel Benjamin Cleveland chapter raised money for funds for the Colonel Benjamin Cleveland statue. And in talking with the city manager, he suggested that we go out and look for a site there at First Street Square, and we believe that we found one. It's on page 3 of the PowerPoint, and the left picture is a mock-up of what the monument would look like. There would be an inscription on the monument recognizing the 250th anniversary of the founding of the nation. There would be the America 250 logo. It would, and then the names of the patriots would be on the sides. On the back, we thought we would leave it blank in case we find other patriots who resided in Bradley County to add their names for a future date. The middle picture, there's a red dot indicating where we thought would be an appropriate place. The third picture is a very poor attempt to me to stand in place to be the statue for the purpose of this presentation. And we really chose this place for a couple of reasons. It will give a very optimal view of the monument without being intrusive. It won't interfere with anything that goes on at the square. It doesn't require a lot of renovation or remodeling of the current landscape of the square. Other places we're going to need trees cut, or parking would have to be blocked off if we had an event there. And also it requires the least amount of ground leveling for the base of the monument. And so, you know, it will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 7 feet. It'll be shorter than the Colonel Benjamin Cleveland statue, and it will be, if you can tell by the picture, it'll sort of be out of everybody's way, but it'll be there to be seen when people come. We think it's a great opportunity to use these funds to recognize our Revolutionary War soldiers. We travel all over the state, and many cities have these monuments. We just thought it'd be good for Cleveland to have one. And we're certainly grateful for the state for giving us the funds to try to do this.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the council?
Hey, quick question. Looks like a great project. Where you're standing, is there going to be a walkway capable, like handicap access, or veterans or people that want to come see it, they can actually get up and read the sign without having to walk through the mulch?
We haven't quite, we've talked to the city manager, we've talked about how we would work around that, and he said there was some work that they would need to do as far as the irrigation and things like that. We'd certainly be agreeable to make that, out of the cost of the project, to put some sort of pathway around it, because we do want people to see it and be able to recognize these names. And I'd also say in that regard, that there will be zero cost to the city for this project. Anything that needs to be done, we have kind of baked in the funds in this grant application.
I'd like to vote to approve that. Free to the city? Approve that, right?
How tall is the obelisk?
It will be, depending on the base, we've got to get back with the monument company, but depending on the base, it will be, we think, somewhere between base and all 6 to 7 feet, something like that. It's not too dissimilar from the Hardwick obelisk, at the monument. It'll be somewhere in that neighborhood, in that size.
Leanne, are you, who's been calling me?
Yes,
Were you
I
calling me a
think-
few months
yes,
ago?
Yes.
Okay, well,
We
thank
had-
you, Joe, because I told her, you need to call Joe, our manager, and he'll get this squared away, and that's, seems like it's
Yes.
come to place.
Yes, we met at the museum.
That's right,
At our
with Miss
American
Ballmer, yeah,
Experience.
yeah.
Yes.
I would like to say one other thing about the monument. We would be more than happy to maintain as far as cleaning and keeping it looking well, because this means a lot to our two organizations, and we have the people that can do monument cleaning that won't cause any damage to the structure, and we'd be more than happy to take care of that.
Sounds great.
Joe, I would ask in consideration of our walkway and stuff, what we just talked about already, is just do a slab or something to where it'll go back, a slab, and it'll sit on the slab where you can walk around it, so it's steady all the way around on that part.
Yeah, and we had talked about those issues. I think that as far as a process, if the council wanted to vote and approve that, that would certainly at 3 o'clock, that would be fine. But we'll go back and just to document this, that we'll probably put together a resolution that indicate, and it's kind of a question that would the city be the owner, or would our DAR still be the owner?
We had thought, if it was agreeable to everybody, that we would donate this to the city, with the caveat that if the city ever decided they didn't want it, that it would revert back to our organizations, and we would move it to somewhere else.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and so we'll put that into a document that you guys can obviously review, and it just makes things clear for the people 20 years from now, and saying who owns what and all that stuff. But a part of that, to Councilman Cassidy's question and Councilman Goss' question, is that we'll also bring a detailed site plan that will include if there's an apron around it or a walkway, and you'll see what the site plan looks like. There's some irrigation in there that we'll need to work around and all that, and that will all be on the consent agenda for you guys to approve probably.
Joe, can we get Brian Turner involved in it?
He's already involved.
And already involved?
He's here too.
What about that?
He's sitting in the back.
Yeah.
Joe, would it be appropriate that we have a motion and a vote at 3 o'clock that we approve the concept of this and authorize it going forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dwayne, if you want to do that, we'll add that under new business.
Okay, sure.
I'll second.
We have one other individual in the audience that wants to speak to this.
Yes, my name's Jane Gold.
Come to the podium, please, and give your name.
Thank you for the opportunity. I didn't intend on speak, but I am an artist in the city, and I have some questions. Is this already designed,
We have just the mock-up.
just the location?
Well, we have the mock-up of the obelisk. We were waiting on approval. We know the names. We know sort of the inscription that we want to put on there. We have not gotten to the point with the monument company where we have detailed. There's a few things we have to put on there. We have to put the Tennessee 250 logo on there because they approved the grant. And then there's the logos of the organizations that designate these are patriots of the revolution. But But there's a lot of area there that's not been defined.
Well, I would respectfully request and ask the city to consider something creative and not yet another obelisk in the city. If something could, I mean, there'd be so many things that could be done to draw attention and honor those who've gone before us, rather than yet another obelisk.
Well, with respect to that, these men, these veterans of the Revolution are the only group of veterans in this town that has no monument. Every group of veterans has a monument at the courthouse square, and all we're trying to do is bring recognition to these men the same way our World War II veterans and our...
I am
know.
so with you on that, but as far as the form and the shape of an obelisk, I think our city could do with something
But with respect, the grant was approved for an office.
for specifically.
We filled out the request for this particular monument, and we've been approved to do this particular project.
And where did the funds come from?
They come from the state 250 grant. Well, it's a grant of about $3 million that was set aside for projects like this to recognize the 250th anniversary of the founding of the nation. And many monuments are being placed across the state to recognize these type of men.
Are these funded by the state through other associations like the Masons or other?
As far as I know, the money was appropriated from the state of Tennessee for any nonprofit organization that chose to fill out a grant application to try to recognize some aspect of the 250th anniversary.
And is it defined as specifically an obelisk?
Our application specifically stated an obelisk. That's what we turned in. That's what we approved.
So that's what you were requesting?
Yes, that's what we want to put up. Yes.
That's what you were-
If I could interrupt just a second, Greg, we appreciate the answers, and maybe this is something that you could continue to discuss as we go through the process, but it does appear as if you already have the grant approved for this specific project.
Yes, and if we don't use the funds for this specific project, we have to turn the funds back in, and we have no money for any kind of recognition for this particular project. It's very specific in what we have, when we fill out the application.
Maybe there's another form of obelisk or something as far as the definition.
Well, my question would be is, why, then there's another forum for this, I'm sure, but why is your objection to this obelisk?
If I could interrupt, if y'all could have this conversation and maybe come to some terms of agreement on it, I'm not sure this is the time or the place to have the debate on it.
I'll be glad to talk, but this is what we have to do with this.
If y'all could just continue talking.
Thank you for the opportunity for
Thank you.
speaking.
So I have
Thank
one last question. Is this going to be voted on today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Can
Absolutely.
so one key question is the timeline that we discussed is they should expect the obelisk.
Yeah, I'm not paying.
At what time, how long will that be?
We will, once this is approved, we will turn in the request to the monument company, and we will get in line. We think we won't be able to get this in before fall of 2026. We are hoping to have, if all goes well, between early October and before Thanksgiving next year, depending on, because there's a lot of schedules and calendars and things that have to be worked out to have the ceremony.
And that works within the 250-year celebration timeline.
It does, and actually, it's a good time for us to do that because, everything's going to peak around July 4th, and then it's going to take it back down a little bit.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate you taking the lead on this.
Yeah, thanks, Liam.
Oh, I have a question. Now, you guys are working on getting Benjamin Cleveland cleaned. Is that a separate thing?
Yes, I applied for the AR Historic Preservation Grant to get the funds to clean the Cleveland statue. I haven't heard from him.
I was just going to say, we appreciate that, and he probably needs a little.
Thank you.
Benjamin appreciates it.
Yeah.
No Benjamin.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the council on an issue today? Yes. Two of you, please come forward to the podium and state your name, please.
Hello, council. I am Caleb Smith. I am a son of a veteran. My father actually served in the 278th Cavalry of Athens, Tennessee. And I think since visiting other states and given the climate that we're in right now politically, I think it's important. I believe that the history and the roots of Cleveland are definitely identified, and I appreciated that a lot more after being away for 5 years and returning. I found true value in the roots of Cleveland, and I feel like it's important that we give the community that opportunity to reflect and to show honor and respect for individuals that did serve. And I feel like, you know, I'm not just honoring that 250th anniversary, but given my experience, I think the 278th Cavalry in Operation Iraqi Freedom was a monumental, I feel like it's a historic event that took place that a lot of community individuals represented in. And to further what their projects are, I think to evaluate possibly recognizing the 278th Cavalry. I know that there's a gentleman from Hardwick who recognized my father after speaking with him and referred that he may have possibly recruited my father, but that was, you know, my father is a retired, reserved military veteran after 30 years. So, once again, given the political climate, there's still opportunity for those that are retired reserve to return back to duty if anything escalates in the current circumstances. And really, I just wanted to introduce myself. I got inspired by Mr. Brooks after serving with the Salvation Army, and of course we're in the volunteer state, so we volunteer. I volunteered my time, and so did Mr. Kevin Brooks. And during that time, he got out there and he rang bells alongside me, which really inspired me, and going to different states such as New York, spending time there, California, etc. I really recognize.
Well, we appreciate you being here today and appreciate your comments, and we'll certainly take that under consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the back? Please state your
Good
name.
afternoon. My name is Deborah Gleason. I'm county, I'm not city, so I can apologize for that. But what I have to ask is in relationship to the city. And I've been looking for history of certain things in the city, and I can't find them. And I was wondering, maybe you can help me and direct me. Because it says you have a Historic Preservation Commission. I don't know what that means exactly, but maybe I would be able to talk to them about it if I can't find an answer here today. One of the things was I was trying to find out how the motto, "The City with Spirit," got started. And so I did an ORR to the city, and the only thing I could get was 2 meetings January 9th and February of the 27th, but there was no beginning meeting of who initiated this, who requested it. Then there was no in-between of the final decision. And so we've got some missing pieces here, and I just want to find out for that who I could talk to get that information.
Have you met with the city manager yet?
No, I haven't. I tried to meet with the mayor, and we never, we connected at Food City and talked a little bit about it. But no, I haven't talked to what they, or
All right, is your, I just wanted, so is your concern on that the motto would change, City with Spirit?
no, although I have heard that they are looking at changing it.
No, we're not gonna change that.
Okay, all right, well
Unless the
then I was
council decides
misinformed.
to.
So, yeah, I just want to find the history. I just find it curious. And I've been down to,
It was a contest.
I know, that's all I have. We
Yeah.
don't have.
And we voted on it.
And
Yeah.
I think it came out of the Chamber of Commerce.
It did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
So-
it's really a Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
led thing, and we're happy to dig into to see if the chamber or whoever else has some documentation. We'll find something.
Would you do that for me?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The other question I had was I was trying to find out about 5 Point City and did an ORR for that, and there was nothing. They could give me nothing on where that came from, who decided on it, yet it's been implemented,
Yeah.
and it's been,
Mr. Moore could help you with that.
It's my great-grandfather's pharmacy over there. Yeah, 5 Point Pharmacy.
and so you have the history on that, where, how we started with this and where the money came from?
You know, I can probably dig that up.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be handing out something else that has my number on it, so, you know, if you would respond to me, I'd really appreciate that.
Okay.
I went down to the Bradley County Historical Library. They had nothing. So I thought that was interesting. We have a historical
I'll send
library
Joe
and
Moore a
nobody
text
has
right
any
now.
information.
We'll find out
So-
before the end of the meeting, maybe.
Pardon?
I'm gonna send Joe Moore a text right now and see if
Okay.
he's got the history on it.
The other thing that I want to leave you with, because I don't want to take up any more time, I know you guys are busy. I have a presentation that I gave to the, on November 10th, to the Bradley County Commissioners. And I want to pass that out to you as well, because I have a concern for this, and I don't want to get into it right now. But if you want to address it with me, my name and number is at the bottom of it. And I would appreciate some feedback because, you know, it's my city too, and I love it, and I want it to stay wholesome. So I don't know, can I hand this to somebody or just
Sure,
hand it to you?
if you'll just hand them that in, we'll pass them out.
That's fine, we'll make copies, of it.
Okay,
We appreciate it.
okay. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to recognize Senator Lowe. I asked him to come today. to speak.
Actually, we have two groups that we're going
Okay.
to recognize today.
But he wants to speak today about the
One
clearing.
group and one person. Adam, did you want to speak to the group? We're honored today to have Senator Adam Lowe with us.
Thank you guys for having me, and I won't take up much time. At the request of Councilman Cassidy, I came to kind of give you an update on something that's taking place. And he knows I'm trying to fit a lot in today, but many of you have noticed TDOT clearing a lot of trees going north
Yes.
on 20, after exit 27 on 75. And it's exposed a lot of homes there along the corridor. And I have been working with Danny Oliver, who's the Region 2 Director of TDOT, with some options there. They have priced out what is essentially one of the sound walls that you often see on the interstate. And the cost of that, we're looking, really the challenge to the homes on the safety issue and exposure issue, round about mile marker 27.2 to 28, maybe a little past. So it's about a mile worth of wall. That's about a $5 million project to construct. So the question becomes, well, how do we accomplish that? What's happening? We're still in the info gathering stage about why the trees were cleared the way they were. The initial feedback that I got was safety concerns with some of the age of the trees. Pine beetles had gotten to some of the pine. They had been falling across the roadway, but they cut them back pretty far. I think anybody who's driven up through there can really see that. And so there's a lot of sympathy for the homeowners there, and we're looking for solutions. The challenge we have at the moment, just to give you an update with the city council, is before a sound wall can be constructed, there has to be a sound study. Now, I've been out there to get photos. I've taken a dB meter out, and decibels read up to 122, which is pretty loud, especially when a truck is jake braking, or really when a car veers off enough to hit the rumble strips, the noise of the rumble strips. So I think if a sound study was completed, they would find that it would be, a place that a sound wall would be appropriate for. However, they follow the guidance of the Federal Highway Administration, and they only allow for a sound study to be conducted by TDOT in the event that they're expanding the road. My argument has been that the spirit of the sound study is because you're expanding the road, you're clearing away what would be natural barriers, and that's why that exists. So there may be a need for a little bit of legislation from me and Chairman Howe in the upcoming session to allow some of that to take place. But I know many of you have gotten calls about that, concerns about it. We are working with TDOT Solutions, and that's kind of the update that I wanted to give you at the moment.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Senator Lowe, is that the only option to stop the sound? Is there a tree planting option or something less expensive?
Well, I don't think anyone really wants to put Bradford pears in there.
Leland cypresses for a mile?
Yeah, you can imagine trees take a long time to grow. That potentially could be an option. I think that the people I've spoken to who are impacted by that are looking for something a little faster as far as relief from some of that on a safety piece. I have asked for a guardrail to go in immediately, at least over one of the properties, because I mean, you could almost sit on the back porch and high-five drivers as they come by. On 75, it feels like it's not that bad, but seemingly bad. The sound wall would be the most immediate solution.
Okay, thank you.
Adam, is there any other cutting to take place, or is it done?
I'm awaiting the plan there. It was done in the guise of maintenance, which means it's not necessarily planned, it's responsive. And so I've asked them if they're responding to any more concerns with trees up 75.
Because I noticed the other day, it's also taking place up around Riceville, where there are no homes or anything.
Which is of less concern
Yes,
than
yes.
obviously what we see in that stretch coming north of 27.
I just wondered what the criteria was that those two spots were picked.
The explanation I was given by TDOT District 2 was that some of the trees had been falling, and that was the concern.
Well, they all fell.
Yeah. It's amazing how that works.
On the sound wall, are there options for the materials that sound wall is being found of, or do they have one specific?
You're now leaving my area of expertise. I'm not a sound wall expert. I know it's about $90 to $100 a square foot for what they typically construct. So 1,000 foot of wall is about $1 million. 10 foot high, 1,000 feet.
Anyone else?
I can answer.
It's a privilege to work for you. Any more problems, let me know that I can help with. Godspeed, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So back to Miss Deborah. You had the cross streets, the drive down from the train depot. So 5 streets meet there, which is where it came up with 5 points. My grandfather's nickname, or my great grandfather rather, was the mayor of 5 Points. So does that help you?
That's not enough.
Well, 5 points over here. So
Yeah, I wanted to see documentation, historical documentation.
You got it.
Relevant to what it is.
That's about as good as it's
There's
going
no
to get.
documentation origins.
You got it from people
I think
lived
that's
it.
kind of strange.
I don't know
And that the money is going into that, who's feeding the money into this?
what money.
I guess if you're developing, I'm guessing, that's why I said I wanted to
Are we
have
develop?
historical information.
Okay.
Minutes or something about the history of it.
Somebody voted somewhere. She wants to see who went.
For what?
We got here somehow.
If you have a comment, would you please come to the podium and submit your
I
name?
apologize.
That's okay.
I don't think it's asking a lot. I mean, we call ourselves a historical town. I would think that you'd have some sort of documentation to back it up, not just hearsay. You know, I'm not going against what you're saying, but I think that we should be able to find out information like that. Do we have it in?
We'll,
Ms.
we'll,
Gleason, let me jump in here. Mr. Fox, can we get her the documentation on the Sandra Hosiery Mill? Can we get her the documentation on the Moore Building that HHM bought? These are two edifices that sit at 5 Points that we voted on for the betterment of Cleveland, that are private developments. Is that what, I mean, that's very simple.
Well, I'm just trying to find out how we made it 5 points.
Made what?
So I think, are you talking from a historical standpoint, what you're asking, right?
From a historical, but
Have you talked to the historical library?
yeah,
Okay.
they didn't have any information. That's why I'm kind of concerned why we
Well,
don't.
here's what, we have the first question, and we'll do a deeper dive on that. And we will look and go through all of our resources on 5 Points and run through all of our stuff. And we'll contact you and give you whatever we can find. I mean, I think we're all interested in the history, and if we find something interesting, we're happy to share it.
And I hesitate to say this, but there's a concern for it being 5 points. I would recommend
Oh, is this
that
satanic?
each of you
Is this satanic?
research it.
Is that what you're putting out there?
And obelisk is also a symbol.
please,
Okay,
if you're going
gosh, I did not, okay, whoa, all right, I was on a different train.
Oh,
I'm sorry, man,
Because it's
Okay.
very concerning that they have them across this nation in many cities.
Egypt, all
And
that,
if
you
you
know.
look-
please, if you're going to speak, we need your name.
If you look it up, I would think you'd be concerned. Because we are all good people here that live in a wholesome community. So I just want to make sure, is that tied into this? You know, if it's not, I'm good. If it is, then yes, I'm concerned as a citizen.
We will do a deep dive, and we'll provide any and everything that has the 5 points. My guess is it was probably from the 50s or 60s.
Before that.
Longer than
We'll go
that.
back,
Oh, yeah, older
we have
than that.
archives,
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
see what we can find, and we'll share. it
Early
with
1900s.
Thank you.
I mean, if this helps any, there were 5 roads that converged.
It's just for obvious.
Oh, yeah, I have the map
Just
of
to the
that.
north of it, there were 3 roads that converged at Central and whatever.
What is her
3 points section there. And that was called 3 Points. What is now Wilson Power was called
Okay.
3 Point Road.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
So,
That may very well be, and I respect that. But I want to know.
Okay, ma'am, ma'am, the city manager has told you that we will take a deep dive into it, and that's all we can do here today.
I understand.
So we appreciate you making your remarks and presenting it to us.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Okay, we have one other group in the audience today that I'm aware of that is visiting with us, and that is the current year Leadership Cleveland program through the Chamber of Commerce. Marshall, would you just make a few comments about what the program encompasses and why you're here today?
So today we do have Leadership Cleveland, and today is Local Government Day. So far we've spent time with city leadership and county leadership. We took in a planning meeting with the county just a few minutes ago, and now we're here with City Council. And so we'll finish off the day with our Spring Branch Industrial Park, which was obviously a partnership between the two bodies. And this is a group that has come together. They all applied to be part of this through the Chamber of Commerce, and they're selected to be part of this on an annual basis. And so they spend different days of each month going to different parts of your local community, whether that be education, law enforcement, local government, utilities. And then actually in January, they will spend time in Nashville. So this is a group that gives them an opportunity to learn more about their community, but also give them the opportunity to meet their coworkers that also practice and live here in Cleveland and Bradley County. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council during this presentation time? Yes, sir. State your name, please.
Caleb Smith. I just wanted to further speak about the 5 Points thing. I mean, if you travel to larger cities, you find that 5 Points is a common nickname for creative areas, and I think that it's just a creative name to destinate creative individuals. It's simple, easy, and to the point, and it's very creative and thinking about. So, you know, if anyone in the community wanted to meet up, say downtown Cleveland, either they can refer to Main Street or say, hey, meet at 5 Points.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on to the report from the city manager today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor and the City Council. We have a lighter agenda today, and I'll try to get through this. The first item is that you have a sheet like this in front of you that is very, very small print on that, and we can get that in line. What that is talking about is, as we've talked about for a number of years previously, about the transition from the currently Cleveland Utilities is responsible for the maintenance and oversight of our city traffic lights. Over the last couple years, there's been a number of traffic lights that have been redone. You have about an eighth of the traffic lights that are now owned by the city. And it's created kind of a two-tiered system, which has began a conversation with Cleveland Utilities, and we've had a number of conversations with them about transitioning the traffic lights back to the city, so we'd be responsible for the maintenance and all of those. It was probably 20 years ago or so that was transferred.
At least.
At least. So it was a while ago. And so what we've talked about is having a transition probably over a couple years on how to work with that in Cleveland Utilities. Tim Henderson, Jimmy Isom, and Marshall have all worked with us and been very helpful in coming up with a draft plan for how to do that. There are two main components. There's the actual ownership of the equipment and the facilities, and then there's maintenance and how that works generally. And then you have some other offshoots as far as you know, if there's an emergency accident and something needs to be fixed, how do you repair those? What we're talking about right now with this sheet is how to transition the ownership of these facilities over to the city. What this analysis shows you, that if you transition the lights, and this is just one of 3 different options, if you transition the lights over a 10-year period, meaning they would immediately after TVA and CU signed off on that they would become city assets. And if we did that, we would save about $1.336 million over that time in just costs. And this is what this sheet shows us is that there's pretty decent cost savings by doing that. And how that's derived is what you would pay now under the current system versus what you would pay as far as a fee to Cleveland Utilities or TVA, whoever it is, on how to pay those back. So obviously a saving of $1.3 million is significant. If the council wanted to move forward on that, we would begin a process to where Cleveland Utilities would petition TVA for the authority to be able to sign these lights back to us. And Cleveland Utilities has given us 2 or 3 options. We can amortize it and pay it off over a 10-year period. We can amortize and pay it off over a 15-year period, or we can do 5, or we can do 0, pretty much whatever schedule we want to do. Talk to our Sean and our finance people. We'll probably do some analysis on how much interest would we be paying, how much interest would we save if we just paid for them outright. If you see on the top, this takes into the fact that it's a 5.25 interest rate currently. So we'll bring back multiple options. So for today, on the asset piece, not asking you to vote on anything, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, is that we're going to ask Cleveland Utilities to start this process. It'll take 60 to 90 days for them to get something back from TVA. And then at that point, we'll have an agreement on whatever amortization, and we'll have options, and we'll figure out what's in the best interest for us, and certainly, and it will help Cleveland Utilities. That's on the asset portion. Any questions on that asset portion? And Marshall's here, and he can talk from Cleveland Utilities standpoint as well.
So CU is in agreement on any of these plans, just whatever we need to do. So that's very agreeable.
And this is taking over every traffic light within the city.
Yes. Yep. Right now, we've been taking them over. TDOT had purchased some, and we're taking those into our ownership. And it would be all the rest of them. And just to be clear, they would all come at ownership at one time, and so we would be in charge of those assets to go from there.
Councilman Estes.
A question and a comment. Tad Bacon does all the timings and such. Does that now sit on us? That still resides with them?
That's the second piece.
Okay. Then the comment to, and Sean, if it's 5%, and that's what our fund balance is for, and they're all full, man, just knock this out. I'll see what you bring, right? But good net, okay,
Yeah, and we'll run the number. If it's $5,000 versus saving 75, then that's real money, right?
And we would set that rate at whatever the market rate is, the time that the instrument is sold, essentially. So we would go
it'd be
look at
fixed
like-sized, correct.
Okay, so you're agreeable to that.
We are.
Are the lots being transferred at depreciated value? Is that how you're arriving at that?
They are being sold at book value for those assets.
Okay, on those that were contributed, so there was no monetary investment
Correct.
on CU's part, what are those being transferred at?
0.
Okay.
Good to know.
So, Joe, we're paying for a technician
We're
annually.
paying for more than that, but
Yeah, but I know it, but I mean, the technician that's maintaining now, we're already paying him.
and that's the maintenance side of that.
Yeah.
So you have the asset side, and then you have the maintenance side. So correct, is that we pay full service for having a traffic light engineer essentially for all their services, and then we pay not overtime, but what's the right word?
Overhead.
Operational
Yeah.
expenses
for, if there's a call out in the middle of the night, we do all that. So we pay 100% of their value plus probably a markup of 10 to 15%.
So you're gonna look at us doing all the maintenance or subbing out part of the maintenance?
So that's the second part of the conversation. So you have the inventories. If you went down this pathway and you wanted to take them over, then there would be a transition period in which we would take over the maintenance of all of these facilities. And that's a tricky thing because we can't just wake up one day and just be able to do that. In talking with Jimmy and Tim and Marshall, is we'd probably have an interim agreement that things would probably stay the same and we'd have an agreement with them that they would provide the maintenance services, and we would have a set amount of time to come up with an exact plan with how that we're going to take over.
Transition.
So when we come in, let's say, March, after they get signed off from TVA, we're going to bring you back that plan. David Shealy will be our point person along with Tommy Myers on doing that. And we're looking at several different options. One is, certainly you could still contract it out with Cleveland Utilities. That's probably the most expensive option. One is that you can go and get a contract and do that, and that's the way Chattanooga would do that, is you have NABCO, which I believe does their work. Yeah. That you would go and they would say, we'll take care of this, and we would have that contract ready to go. There would still need to be a transition time, but we would work on that contract. NABCO is very familiar with our system as it is. So you do the same thing, NABCO, or the third option is that we could hire our own employees and do it very much like Cleveland Utilities has. One of the issues with that is that you probably have some hours that that we not be able to fully utilize because you would be paying someone full-time waiting for something to happen. So we need to do kind of an analysis there.
But if we do that, do we have to buy equipment? Sure. Boom truck?
Bucket trucks.
Yes,
Bucket
and
truck?
that's the downside, is you would have to buy the inventory, you would have to buy the equipment and the boom trucks and all those issues.
Can I ask Marshall, how many employees are dedicated to traffic lights?
So we have, I would say, 6 individuals within the organization that dedicate time towards the traffic signals.
Okay.
The vast majority of those operational staff employees, which is approximately 5, they split time between traffic lights and metering.
Okay.
So to Joe's point, the reason in which it's more expensive for Cleveland Utilities to continue to operate these is that you're paying someone with meterman experience, which draws a much higher wage than a traffic maintenance technician would.
Gotcha.
And so, although we are able to utilize the same equipment for the work that we do for metering and line work, those bucket trucks and all that are the same, it does allow the opportunity to work through this with the city to transition a lot of these things over time.
So it's just overqualified. Just overqualified folks, we're gonna pay for more than we're getting.
Essentially.
Are there 6 bucket trucks?
No.
Okay. Dedicated to.
There are 2, I would call line trucks that essentially are assigned to traffic.
Got you. Thank you.
Marshall, if memory serves me right, NABCO is doing quite a bit of the maintenance now, aren't they?
That's correct. So the city has a contract with NABCO for routine maintenance. So that's going out to all of your intersections, inspecting all of your equipment, cleaning those cabinets, verifying operations. Our teams work more on an as-needed basis for traffic lights. Obviously, TAD is full-time dedicated to the engineering aspect of that, but your metering team is dedicated to working on traffic signals as construction-related items have to be taken care of.
And taking the standby calls.
And we do operate standby, which that's been part of the conversation. We would not operate a standby shift for that team had we not been doing traffic lights.
Is that something that NAPCO or a company like them can still do?
We believe so. I mean, they take care of all Chattanooga's stuff. We need to dig into that.
The reason I ask that, I just want.
But they're certainly not going to be as fast as Cleveland.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to do not want us to get in a position where someone knocks a pole down or something and, we're 6 hours away from getting service restored.
And we've committed to Joe and the staff that obviously we're still going to be in the business. We're still going to have equipment. We're still going to have people that are trained in these aspects. If the city makes the decision to transition away from us operating and maintaining those in, say, 2 years' time, we'll still have staff that are familiar with how to do it. So in the event something happens and that contracted company is not able to respond, we could still do that. We would contract with them more or less as an emergency basis. If you need us, we can respond.
I'm a little bit biased in this issue, but the one thing that I would request is whatever we decide, that we don't recognize any decrease in the availability of standby and repair work and maintenance work and the tech expertise that has been developed by the Cleveland Utilities folks.
And Marshall, I don't know if this is possible or not, but does your software break down the 5 gentlemen's hours where you could actually give us a full-time equivalent of what we might need to expect for someone to handle the system?
We do, and so we present that on a monthly basis to the city as part of their invoicing.
Okay.
It has broken out by hour what each of these individuals spend time on, so that there is that detailed record, but we can absolutely walk through that with them.
Thank you.
I have a question, maybe, I don't know who, or maybe the answer is no from both sides. When we talked about high-speed internet, we talked about that being in the ground and assisting in traffic synchronization, particularly up on the north side when hardwood comes online. How does that work now if everything's in our lap and you guys have the light in the ground?
Yeah. So as you all recall, in the interlocal agreement that we signed with the city of Cleveland as part of the Cleveland Utilities Authority creation, Cleveland Utilities will continue to provide internet to all city properties. And that is such with traffic lights. So when we designed the fiber plant.
With the fiber connection.
That's correct. When we designed the fiber plant, we designed it with dropping a fiber connection to every single traffic signal.
And future.
Correct. So there are a number of intersections today that do not have fiber connectivity, and those have all been designed and they are ready to put in the ground. The biggest thing is trying to determine what network does it operate on. Is it going to be on the city's network and we'll handle the connectivity for them, or are we going to continue to do that in-house? And if so, we'll take care of that.
Does that include putting fiber to the Ocoee Street lights that don't have anything right now, or just wonder if we can throw that in there?
Yeah, everywhere you have a traffic cabinet today, there is a fiber drop designed to serve that traffic cabinet.
And it's your opinion that us taking over and paying for it will be cheaper in the long run?
That is absolutely true. Today, think about it in these terms. You're essentially paying for a lease. You're now going to be paying for ownership. And we all understand that ownership equity is far more valuable than any lease payment that you can make.
Yeah.
Is the tax depreciated value that you came up with really equivalent to the current liquidation value of
Market
that
value?
product? Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No, these traffic signals today are far more valuable than the dollars that we invested in some of these signals 10 years ago. Used to, you could build an intersection for $100,000 all day long. You can't build an intersection now for less than $300,000.
So we're getting a very fair price, you would say, for the assets.
Cleveland Utilities is in no way looking to make any type of return on this investment. Actually, part of the agreement is that when we sell these, it's strictly at the cost we have invested in it. And the only reason we would charge an interest rate if we finance that for the city over the time is because we're having to make those ratepayers whole, essentially, for having dollars extended on the behalf of the city.
Thank you.
Marshall, at the time, and Joe, when the traffic lights were turned over to Cleveland Utilities, it was a pretty unique situation. Do you know of any other utility in the valley that the arrangement with the city municipal utility is the same as we have here in Cleveland?
Absolutely not. We are the only one in the state of Tennessee. TVA has confirmed that, especially from their LPC standpoint. We've had these brief conversations in the past with TVA, and they fully support this effort to transition this asset back to the city.
I remember when we transferred, and it was more or less CU trying to help the city. We was having problems with, and of course, we had a lot of old equipment, trying to get it up to new equipment, and it was a lot involved at the time that it didn't operate near as smooth as it does now.
And it's very similar to Dwayne's point. When Cleveland Utilities purchased the traffic signals, they purchased those for a set price. And that set price was far less than what a market value was.
It was $350,000.
He's exactly right. And that was a number that was specific to the city and what they needed for that year's budget. And so Cleveland Utilities transferred those dollars to the city for the ownership stake, and we have maintained that book value for those intersections. So if we've never touched one, we have allocated no additional funds to that. So that same return would come right back to the city.
Is that $350,000 depreciated out now?
Yes, the original, I think it was 46 or 47. Any of those dollars would have been depreciated at this stage.
Yeah.
There's very few intersections though that have not been touched, as Tad will quickly tell you.
Yeah.
How many county lights are out there?
I believe the county has 6, I think.
So would that be part of, that they would still own theirs? You guys don't own their infrastructure, but you do put service on them?
We go at their,
For maintenance.
yes, at their request, we will go and perform services for them. But we have no standing agreement with them to operate or maintain them.
My eyes can't read this sheet. How many lights are in Cleveland?
I think it's 96 now, 96 or 97.
96 to 6. That's about what the sales tax percentage is.
So, through that, and we're happy as we move forward, is coming when we get everything worked out with TVA, is that we will bring, and we'll probably do it before that time, is we'll bring you a full transition plan with options. And we'll talk about that, what are the pros and the cons of some of those options. And then we'll bring how we're going to do our traffic light engineering, which is one question. How we're going to do our normal routine maintenance. How we're going to do our standby and in what time frames that we will take over and they will do that. We've had some conversations, but we don't have that full answer today. But I think we're all on the same page. And I know that we've inquired with private firms to see what their availability and costs are, and there's people that would come and do the work if we could do that.
Very good. Anyone else?
Wasn't there a couple more options? Was there a couple more options we were going over? You said there was 3 options?
Yeah, there was the option that we just say, Cleveland Utilities, you just keep doing, we'll own them, but you keep on doing what you're gonna do. There's the option of doing a private contract service agreement. And then there's an option that if you wanted to hire your own people, if the city wanted to hire our own people, that you could do that. And I guess there's a 4th option, is if you wanted to do a hybrid of something like that. You know, you may want to hire someone that does your traffic light engineering, that gets in the boxes and fix all that stuff. You may want to have that closer at hand, because if something gets messed up, you're calling a contractor and doing all those things. But we'll map out what all those costs are, what are some of the pluses and minuses, and I think Vice Mayor Webb already touched on the most important issue, is the reliability and the risk. And when things go down and you have Mouse Creek and Paul Huff go out, you have to be out there to fix that, and we need to be able to have a system that keeps people safe.
Can one person service and maintain a traffic light with a truck, or do you have to have?
You need two.
Two.
At least two.
So we'd have to have at least two full-time hires to handle this ourselves.
It's probably more than that, Dwayne, just from the standpoint of that you're gonna have people that are on
Yeah,
vacation.
24 hours.
Who
24 hour
operate
service.
around the clock, 365 days a year. It's easily probably a 4-person
But
job.
you think 4 could maintain our system
I think you start at 4
along with David?
with your engineer.
Well, help me with the numbers. I want to make sure I'm understanding this. I'm showing like on the first, January 26th, our savings would be $12,214 that month. But if we're paying 4 full-time people, we've not saved a dime.
You're already paying. That's a separate line.
That's a separate conversation.
Correct. That is
That's
just
not in
for
there.
the asset itself.
Okay.
There's another portion of the bill that comes that is for the operating and maintenance expense for that month.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Today's vote is just on the assets.
Or
no vote at all?
There's no vote.
No
We
vote.
wanted to make sure that there was an understanding of what was going on. They still have to get TVA to do that, and that's when we would bring back all the options and.
Bill, we need a
and,
week and a nod
amortization and all
today.
that.
Have you had
You and I
any,
are the only ones that know what that means. We're the only ones that have been here long enough to know what that means.
have you had any preliminary discussions with TVA?
We have. We will formulate an official request for the sale of those assets. And then to Joe's point, they've communicated 60 to 90 days of review to provide back a specific practice of how they would want those assets sold and any kind of provisions that would be included in the actual agreement between the city and Cleveland Utilities. A lot of that will be dependent upon Cleveland Utilities financing those for the city, or is the city just writing a check for the ownership of those. It becomes less material if it's just a straight ownership transfer at that point.
So y'all can't do it yourself, you have to go through TVA in order to validate what we're gonna do as a partnership, correct?
Just like anything on the electric side of the business, TVA has full regulatory authority related to how we operate the business.
This is not unlike acquiring an annexed area. A lot of the similarities. Okay.
Good questions. We'll certainly, my guess is we'll probably schedule another work session that will bring all of our options and just work through them all before you have to take a vote. So we'll give you some time to think about it and ask other follow-up questions.
On behalf of the council, appreciate everyone that's putting their time and effort into this.
Agreed.
Agree.
Yeah, I think David Shealy's a little nervous.
96 lights.
He's got it.
He's got it. He's got it. But we would certainly need someone that has experience getting in and into the cabinets and doing that.
Sure.
So, moving on, I have another item that we have. We got notification of a NOFO, which is the Notice of Grants for a build grant, which are, you know, we have our bridge project that we should get hopefully in January, it's what they're telling us, our contract. This build grant application process is due in February, and we're just letting you know that we're going to be rolling up our sleeves and coming up with a grant application similar to what we had done before. We had applied for this last year, and during the transition of the new administration, I think they had reduced the amount of funding like to $150 million. This year it's 1.5 billion, from what we understand. So we think that having more resources, that we think that we have a very legitimate chance at getting this, because they've already funded one portion of it. I mean, they're gonna, they gave us the planning grant, they gave us the bridge grant, and now you have the other pieces that I think we've figured out. We've had intense conversations with TDOT. They are supportive, had a number of conversations. What their interest is they get to consolidate all these federal routes into one route. They have, I think, 10 or 11 different traffic lights that go through on their routes. And this consolidation is that we would probably get it down to 2 traffic lights that you would be able to go through the city core and do that. That's very efficient for them. So essentially, Inman Street would probably become the city's responsibility in the future, which is fine. And so we will probably in January do a couple things. We will have we've already talked to State Representative Howell, who is working on getting a meeting with the TDOT commissioner. I think we'll meet with our U.S. senators and our U.S. congressmen, and we will do everything to try to put everything together. But the purpose of letting you know, when you see the design, that the red part, you see the bridge. What we're talking about is funding all the way to Key Street, and then the green part, and then the pink part we're still analyzing. But this grant would be mainly for the 3rd Street corridor through the middle of the community. The green part, even if we did nothing, it still works because you have Linden there, and that's also a federal highway or a route. It's a truck route right now, so we're looking at that. So, question is, just to put you on notice that this is coming, that we'll probably have some meetings with some of our state and federal elected officials, and we feel very never want to say the word confident, but we feel very comfortable that we have a very strong application going in. I think that the feedback that we got from Federal Highways in the last year's grant is that it was a strong grant, there just wasn't enough money. This year the money is additional, and we'll go and bring you all the details probably in January. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
Very exciting.
Certainly.
Last thing, at the last meeting, we talked a little bit about budget priority discussion, and if anyone had anything they wanted to throw out as we start the budget process in January, if there's anything that you want us to take a look at or gather information on, or just make a point of discussion.
Anyone?
I'll add, I know I mentioned the soccer fields, but in the past two-week windows, a couple of fortnights, I've been surprised how popular the futsal field is, and getting calls about people all night, the lights going on, the lights being turned off. Everything that we want to happen is happening and more. So just as you and Jonathan and Patty plan for the future, more futsal type of facilities would, I know that's not a huge ask and a big cost, but man, it's super popular.
Yeah, the feedback that we got from a number of different sources is almost every night you can have 20 to 30 to 40 people out there, probably not in the middle of the winter, but probably a little bit. And what you find is in that location, and really one of the purposes of that is certainly the healthy activities in soccer that doesn't destroy the grass, but it's really about the building of the community. When we've been out there and talked, is that there's just a lot of relationships being made because a lot of people are going to hang out and socializing, and probably one of the most is that I don't think that we've had any
vandalism. I think that it's just, I think that people are trying to protect it. It's really a great little facility that we probably need to invest in doing more.
Replicate.
And it wasn't that expensive, a couple $100,000. So, any other?
Well, I've already talked to you privately about the safety guard. Appreciate that. You know, that's peanuts in the budget, but very much a priority for the second district.
I have one item that I'd like to ask you about. I know we made some changes to the traffic heads downtown on the one-way streets. And I've had a call or two about the issue that it's causing with pedestrians. And we were talking about at one point in time of installing some pedestrian signals. Where are we on that?
Well, we're looking at devices that are reliable devices that you, as far as pedestrian signals, that you can do Wi-Fi connected to them. The issue is, it's actually pretty easy, but we also just paved a street. Do we want to cut the street to put in a pedestrian signal? That's really what it comes down to. The other issue is looking at maybe boring underneath there, but you also have 8 inches of concrete underneath that street. So we're looking at all 3 of those, and I know David's looking at that. We've had the same concerns. Councilman May has brought that up a few times, so that's on the top of one of the top of our list to figure out how to get that done.
I think it's critical that we come up with a solution and come up with it pretty quickly.
Well, the other thing is that will require you to change out all of the other, because there isn't fiber to those, and it's your 45-year-old technology, is that will require you to probably replace 4 different intersections.
So I can't speak to the intersections themselves, but we are completing this area now for fiber. So we hope to open the downtown area and complete that.
But the boxes don't handle that.
Today, those equipment inside those boxes do not, but fiber is available.
So you're probably talking about $600,000 or $700,000 project. Unless we can find a Wi-Fi solution that you can just put that up and it talks to each other and it works.
Yeah, there's got to be a reliable Wi-Fi solution that would work without boring or tearing up the street. Have y'all used anything for that, Marshall?
David, you want to comment? I mean, you're giving me the thumbs up.
I was going to say that I've asked TDOT to look at, there is a proprietary wireless solution that's not yet FHWA approved. TDOT's never used it. It is on a state route, so we're going to have to go through them on this, but they're looking at it.
Okay.
They don't use any statewide.
Wow.
That's the concern, is the open Wi-Fi network, privacy, security. So what he's talking about is what I believe Tad's been part of that conversation.
Okay.
And I think we may have addressed one issue and opened up another one.
Yeah.
It's $500,000, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think we understand the importance and the sensitivity of that, and we're working on that.
Okay.
Just make sure before we buy them, they're all hooked up.
Or we could just put the wrong lights on there again. Yeah. And then we're back to where we were.
I feel like that's been an issue, and it's come up to me a few times since it's been taken down, right? But to me, I feel like it's a lot easier to have.
I brought it up a couple
It's a
times.
one-way street. If you can't look down the street and figure out that there's no car coming to walk across, that's less of a problem than having a green light going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
We had to fix that issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think David's going to figure out how to do this, a Wi-Fi solution.
Thank you.
Counting on you.
Anyone else have a budget issue at this point in time? I guess not.
The Tinsley Park, we're making significant progress on. We paved the back section of where the volleyball and the dog parks are and all of that last week. It looks wonderful. There's going to be a lot of additional parking The dog park, what used to be the small dog park, is now about 2.5 times of what that facility was before. We've expanded that. Our goal is to have the back part open for public consumption on January 12th, which means the dog parks will be done. People will be able to come in and get to the back, utilize the greenway, utilize the new pavilions, and do that. And we're working towards that as a goal for that area.
How close are we on the pickleball facility?
Pickleball facility's been done for a while.
Are we having play on it?
There's still it's still within the control of the contractor. They've had a couple small issues that they're working, but as far as construction, it's for all intents and purposes. It's
How long do you think we are from play on it?
you could go out. It's playable. You can go out and play anytime. Before we let people go out and play, you're probably February. We just need to get. There's a lot of construction work that's going on there. You don't want to mix construction work with people
Right.
back there playing. So you're probably talking February.
Any update with our friends in the skating world?
Yeah, we've talked to them. We should hear on our grant anytime now. We have the temporary facility up. We have a design. If we don't get the grant that we talked about before, we'll go and we'll start construction on the new facility. That hopefully this spring that we would have that done. If we do get the grant, then we'll let you know what their timeline is.
Thank you.
But if you haven't been out there, they've made substantial progress. They have the framing of the pavilions up and the restroom. It's really going to be a pretty special facility. I think it's going to hit the quality of everything that we want to see. It's just taking us a little longer than what we wanted it to. But the key is being able to get people in January back out on the dog parks and doing all that safely.
Can I throw just one, this has been a top priority, and I just want to throw it out as we look for next year's Phase 6 of the Greenway. Now that we've gotten the approval, let's get that finished, please. Whatever, if money helps that, let's budget it and get it done.
So, yeah, money is not an issue.
Right.
It's just, we have a contract. Robert has met with the people that are doing the right-of-way acquisition. They've probably started that process. It has not.
Yeah, they have.
So we'll start buying, they will start buying the properties within the grant. So everything is going along just fine.
Awesome.
Can you refer what stage 6 is for the public and stuff too?
Willa to Starbucks.
Okay.
Projected
Village
completion
Green.
date for
Yeah,
council.
Village Green. Or the liquor store.
The whole.
Take
whole
your
space.
choice.
Projected.
Real screen.
Spring.
Spring, late spring.
No, spring.
Spring, okay.
Folks might be interested in knowing that Atkinson Drive was paved last week.
Heard that.
Have we gotten any complaints about speeding yet?
No, but we will.
It's nice and smooth.
It's
smooth.
Shark Park is getting very close. The only thing we probably need to do before setting a date and a time is to connect with the Shark family and Mr. Who donated the property.
Barker.
Barker, is we want to coordinate our times with the Shark family and the Barker family so that we can hold a ribbon cutting. Probably in spring, but that will likely be open for full utilization by the end of December, if it doesn't rain. So it will be open, and then we'll have a soft opening, and then we'll have our event probably in the spring where the weather is nice.
Does that include the redesign along the road there?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually haven't been out there. Are they working on that, Brian? Is he here?
They haven't been able to start digging because of the rain, and they've also probed and found some rock, but they're
it's in their hands and they're ready to go.
All right. So,
Move on, Joe.
you know, we've had good updates on Ocoee and 25th Street. The state's moved along well on that. They're in right away with that, and hopefully we'll have a construction in 27, which sounds like a long time away, but 26 is a month away. So I think that's positive.
Joe, do we know any more about, do they plan on closing Ocoee Street for a while? Is
Yeah,
that-
the traffic will be on Recognition when they do that project. They'll have to have they will have to do a lot of work at night, and they will have to be strategic about getting people through there, because there's really no other ways around that intersection. It's a real problem.
Yeah, it is.
It's a real problem. We have a project with a new development at Peerless, and we talked about 25th Street. I think I mentioned the last meeting. Peerless Road will probably be closed for 6 weeks in May and June, hopefully closer to the time that we need to get out. We're working on the development agreement to where there's another party that will pay for some additional whiting on that. So you could have some more turn lanes and new traffic signals and all of that out at Peerless and Paul Huff. There's all kinds of implications with that traffic, and trying to figure out how to manage that, and we'll have a street closure plan that hopefully can help everyone.
Joe, is there a section of Peerless going to be closed, not the whole Peerless?
Just the intersection at 25th Street.
25th and Peerless, okay.
Yeah, that culvert needs to be replaced.
Right.
So essentially, we're putting in a culvert that happens to also be a lot longer and wider, and go from there.
Got one other question about roads and culverts. Has there ever been any consideration to the safety of 25th Street and Peerless, where Ace Hardware used to be, where it's just a 8-foot drop off into the storm water? Is there anything we can do there?
It's owned by the state, and they've been, this will help because we're widening it out, but it's a state facility.
Okay.
It's not the first time we've had that question. We can ask them again. They're usually not too concerned with it,
Okay,
but it's not ours just to
Gotcha.
touch it and do that.
thanks.
That's all I have. If there's any other questions on any projects or any issues. With that, Councilman May, or Councilman Webb rather, we can go and talk about the agenda. That's all right.
Sure.
At 3 o'clock, we have a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Mitch Maloney for the consideration of an ordinance to zone .73 acres, property located at TL Rogers Street Northeast from CH to R2 low density. We'll hear any comments on that. Item 6B is a public hearing, comments concerning a request by Mr. Bill Sanders for consideration of plan of service resolution annex and the ordinance is zoned about 40 acres along Pleasant Grove Road southwest from C2 FAR to IL. We have item 6C, which is to hear public comments concerning a request by Spring Creek Community Developers 2 for consideration of ordinance to amend PUD 8 to change the use of lots 3 and 4 from commercial to residential, allowing parking to be shared across the development. This is Spring Creek essentially is building, I think, 3 more buildings in the same style that they had before. They purchased property and you'll change it from commercial to residential.
Joe, did we have anybody show up from the community on this?
At the planning commission, I
Yeah,
don't
the
believe
planning
we had any
commission.
feedback. We didn't have any feedback on that,
Okay.
on Spring Creek. It's on the other side of the street
Yeah.
where the apartments are.
Yeah, okay.
Item 7A is to, and these are items that we heard at the last council meeting, is final passage of zoning ordinance 2561 concerning the request by Don Epperson for the consideration of zoning ordinance 8.28 acres located on APD 40 and Young Road from FAR to CH Highway. This is the second reading and it was approved at the last meeting. Item 7B is final passage zoning ordinance 2564 concerning a request by Quantum Ventures to consider the ordinance to rezone 0.3 acres on Blue String Road from R2 to and multifamily to IH, heavy industrial zoning. This is I think a propane facility. Item C, resolution 25-101 and 105. Authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with Southeast Tennessee Development District for professional administration services in connection with the environmental review for sidewalks on Bower Lane. This is essentially areas where there are no sidewalks. It connects Avery Johnson Park to the area where the Justice Center is, and as well as the carrying place. Again, that would be federal money to pay for that. Item D is resolution 25-106, authorizing the mayor to sign an amendment from TDOT extending the contracts on Greenway Phase 6. This is just extending the dates. Resolution 25-107, accepting a donation of 1997 Mercury Cougar from Delinda McDonald. So I guess it still operates and it works, and she wanted us to have that. I will go back and Robert's here on the Phase 6. It's kind of interesting that and I think this is a corollary to what we told Dr. Estes, is that they're actually telling us to hurry up on the project now. But it shows that they're in a hurry to do something. Is now after several years they're saying they're helping us move faster forward, which I think is a good sign. Item F, surplus property, declaring 3 vehicles as surplus property to be sold for scrap and used for the police and fire training. I've been told that neither of these 3 vehicles are in operable condition, and put them on out there. They've already been used. Item G, an appointment to Beer Board of Scott McGowan to fill the unexpired term of Gerald Lillard, expired July 2026. H, motion, authorize the mayor to sign a lease agreement with Bradley County for additional parking on Church Street. In front of you, you have an agreement. There's a lease agreement here that I've brought to your attention a couple times, is that there is a parking lot across the street from what would be the Roy's alternator, where the future council building will be. It's property owned by the county. They have, at the agricultural extension, where they have mostly just storage of records in there. And what this agreement does is essentially gives us a 15-year agreement to utilize the parking in there. And we have to make some spaces. They want a space out front on the road, and they want a space also inside, that if they want to get access to their storage, that we would do that, and that's not a problem. So that will help with some additional parking in the area. But also more so that it helps with parking closer to where we're going to have meetings like this, so that people have more opportunities. In exchange for that, the county wanted us to, at the fire training tower, they wanted us to move back all the way to the back line and remove the dirt and take down the trees so that their parcel would be larger. And what it articulates in this agreement is that we'll move the bank located at the back of the new fire building to the back property line with a 3-to-1 slope from the back of the property. The concrete driveway shall be extended to 4 feet within the toe of the slope. The bank shall be extended to alignment of the northern edge of the existing fire station. The city has the right to remove necessary trees and remove the bank. City-provided construction services shall be completed by June 30th, 2026. Except for the concrete and maybe some tree removal services, it probably is low. It will take person power. We have the equipment to be able to do this, but it will probably cost some as far as extending some of the concrete. And it's, is that worth the 15 years of parking? If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer on that.
Joe, how many parking spots are we be included in this?
There's a map on the back of your on the exhibit.
Okay.
And it creates 8 parking spaces.
Has the county addressed the lease yet?
What's that?
Has the county approved the lease yet?
They have not approved it. This actually draft came from Crystal Freiberg, so that Crystal approved it, and we have a small little corollary that Mr. Kimball spotted this morning that we changed. Is we don't believe, we think that they've talked about it at a work session, and we don't believe that there's any concern, but I'm not speaking for them at all.
Sure.
And then we just had to modify the title of the position from our volunteer coordinator at the animal shelter to the title of shelter office coordinator.
Was there any option to just buy the parking lot from the county?
I didn't ask that. They are not interested, what we asked are they interested in selling the building and the parking lot, and they were not.
Okay.
Because they've invested a decent amount of money in that facility for their storage services. And I didn't ask specifically about the parking.
Gotcha.
Happy to do that, but if they were interested in selling the whole parcel, we would certainly talk to them about that, but they weren't at that time.
Okay.
Number 10A, zoning ordinance 2563 concerning request by Mitch Maloney. We talked about that. That's the first public hearing. Talking with Robert Garnell and John Kimball, we think we need to take off items B and C so that there's some additional legal review that needs to be done on those two. But there's a public hearing, and if everything clears, we can put it back on track. But so take off B and C. Item D is a concerning request by Spring Creek Community Developers, and we talked about that. That's the Spring Creek additional rental housing over there, and that's all I have for you.
And Councilman Goff, I believe you requested to add item E.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to request that we add item E.
To come up with a concept, to make the,
to
report
approve
pad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Joe on his report or review of the agendas? Thank you, Joe. We'll now move to reports of council members. Councilman Casta, you're first today.
Vice Mayor, I appreciate it. Tommy, I want to thank you and the city staff for the entrance redoing Mountain Point. I know that was a concern for them, and I got some really good feedback from the residents and stuff, so I appreciate your staff and everybody taking care of that. Also, the room's cleared out, but I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, all the city staff, all the council members, We won't meet again until middle of January, so, and Happy New Year's too, so I'd like to do that, and that's all I have, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman May?
I'm gonna wait till 3 o'clock.
Councilman Goff?
No report, sir.
Councilman Moore?
I'm gonna wait.
Councilwoman McKenzie? Councilman Estes?
One for now, more for 3 o'clock. Just to my colleagues here, the Land Bank Authority, which is also the vacant property review, is doing its work, but so many good things are happening because it's meeting and doing it. I spent, I don't know, 45 minutes driving around all of Blythe and College Hill, just my district, this past week. How many home sites have been cleaned up? How many have been redone? And some of it's city fields, some of it's habitat, some of it's the land bank, some of it is the market forces. There's just, it is drastically changing the second district.
Bill, it's good for that district, but it's also good for citywide. We've got problems throughout the city that hopefully it'll clean up.
Yeah, and they just need to come before us. We've had, a dozen properties before us, and before we can vote and act on them, they get sorted.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting our radar. So just really glad this is part of this. Joe, I appreciate you putting Dustin on this and making this a priority. I know Vice Mayor Webb and I sit on that committee, and there's just some really good things happening. I just wanted y'all to know that. It's great. That's all.
I would echo those thoughts. Okay. We have no announcements at 1 o'clock, and if that is